Hey, everybody, it is Elise and Amanda, and we are coming to you not just on Facebook in the Facebook group Solopreneur Entrepreneur, but we are multicasting. So you are also seeing me on my Facebook business page. Isn't this exciting? And YouTube. So we are like, media moguls here. We're all over the place.
You've got every channel covered.
I've got every channel covered. I could be doing Instagram if I had my phone set up, but I wasn't smart enough to figure that out right away. So here we are. Anyway, so you guys, as always on these Facebook Lives, I'm doing this from StreamYard, which is great. Facebook doesn't like me anymore, and I'm just finding that every time I do a Facebook Live on Facebook, it kicks me out or something happens. So I don't do that anymore. So we're broadcasting from StreamYard, which is a third-party app. It plays nicely with Facebook, but if you guys are joining me, I can't see you. All it says is Facebook user. So when you put a comment in the comment section, mention your name. So Amanda and I know who's talking, so we aren't just talking to Facebook users. That's not fun at all. So whoever's here, I see there are 4 of you online with me. Drop a comment in the comment section. Tell me who you are, and then tell us where you're from, so we know who we're talking to. And don't be shy. So Amanda and I are going to chit chat. She's got 3 or so topics that she wants to talk about. Hey, Jenny, so glad you could join. Amanda and I have 3 topics or so that she wants to talk about. We're going to play this by ear. Amanda and I are old friends. And this is just a fun conversation. And as always, don't be shy, you guys. So drop comments in the comment section. Questions, anything you want to say, we'd love to see you. Garika, hi, thanks for joining. Oh, I haven't seen you for a while, Garika. Thank you so much for joining. So I think what I'll do is just give it a couple more seconds. Amanda is a PR queen. Amanda and I have known each other for 3 or 4 years, 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. We met through BizChicks and have become fast friends ever since. And it's just lovely. Whose Facebook user said hi? Tell me what your name is, so I know who you are. I'll give you a minute. Let's get started. Let me introduce Amanda to you all, so you know why I'm so excited to have her here. Amanda Berlin is right there. She has had more than a decade in the New York City PR world, and Amanda now uses her pitch powers for good. I'm so glad. She helps entrepreneurs step into their presence, create a story that inspires others, and spread their message in the media. Amanda has created a library of template guides and trainings and works one-on-one with clients to guide them to strategic storytelling and media relations based on her 12 years of experience guiding strategy for major brands in the corporate world. She's the host of the Empowered Publicity podcast. And oh my God, you guys, this is a podcast that's fabulous. So it's one of those things that I want you to sign up for on iTunes because it's fantastic. So I'll publish that on the top as well. So she's the host of the Empowered Publicity podcast and loves arming soul-powered business entrepreneurs with the ideas and skill set they need to go from hidden industry gem to recognizable, trusted expert. What a claim to fame. That's fabulous.
Thank you so much.
Amanda, the reason I'm so excited about this is that I always thought that PR was for the big guys, the people with big budgets. Anytime I've talked to a PR agency, they start with a flat fee that's so above my range. I'm like, I can't even think about there. So in my visibility strategies and my marketing strategies for my business, PR is not in the mix.
Right.
And when you and I started talking, we were talking about what can we do to help the small business and or the solopreneur, soon to be CEO, build their business, using PR without getting intimidated. So that's the topic of the conversation. And you guys who are joining later, if you're watching the replay, drop comments in, and Amanda and I will circle back and answer your comments so you're not going unheard. So Amanda, we were going to talk about how to start to craft a message that will help you connect with more of the right clients. Tell me how a small guy like me can get involved with PR.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that this is I'm grateful that you brought up this point about the perception of PR. And that's really, I think what I'm inspired to say based on that is that's one of my huge whys in my business is to help make accessible to the small business owner the tactics that we assume are reserved for the big guys.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right that the modern PR agency machine was not built for us. It wasn't built to serve business owners who can't afford a multi-5-figure retainer on a monthly basis.
Right.
But we still need to relate to our public. And that's really what public relations is the
relating to your public. Okay, I get it now. That's great.
That explains everything.
That explains everything, right? Where was I? Oh, well.
Yeah. And so the reason why it's important to engage in PR is because PR goes way beyond media relations. And that's one of like the sexy things about PR is like, oh, I get to do interviews and I'm booked as a speaker over here. And I have a quote that's coming out in this article and they're featuring me as an expert and whatever. In the media, that's one aspect of PR, but there is a host of different tactics that you can employ to relate to your public in a way that makes them feel like you understand what they're up against, that you can help them, and that you're the exact right person who's doing the thing that they need in order to move whatever it is in their business or whatever it is in their life forward. That's your purpose in bringing your business to them.
Oh, I can't wait to hear more. That's great.
Yeah.
Good.
So the thing to do to really begin on this journey, the very first step is to really clarify what is your big message? What is your big, bold, I believe moment? Like one of my whys is that the PR machine was not built for us and that we need to find ways to put ourselves out there that are of service to our audience, but actually are free to us. And that's another key characteristic of PR is that it's not advertising. Right. You're not paying for the opportunity to be in front of your audience. You're earning that opportunity. So the very first thing to do to begin to earn those opportunities is to clarify why you do what you do. What's your big belief or your big mission in putting your work out there into the world?
So that's so interesting you would say that. Hey, Jennifer, thanks for joining. And you guys, there are a couple of you that are just showing up as Facebook user. Tell me who you are so I can say, so Amanda and I can say hello because I can't see that on StreamYard. So don't be shy. Amanda, that's so interesting about your why and your point of differentiation in the marketplace, because so many of my clients, either in the Solo to CEO program or my private clients, really haven't nailed down their why. They haven't really figured out why they're different than the other 53 other people who do exactly what they do. And so that makes the message that they can send out there cloudy and, not on point. And it takes some time to really spend with yourself so you can really think about, why are you different? What do you have to bring to the table that's not like everybody else on the planet?
Absolutely. And there are so many of us who are doing something similar to what other people out there are doing. And one of the ways to start to differentiate yourself is to really lean into your story, because of other people who are doing something similar. Only one person arrived to this moment in the same way that you arrived to this moment, whether it involves your personal history, your upbringing, or your professional history, but ideally a combination of the two. You've arrived at this moment to do the work that you're doing because you're perfect to be doing that work based on your history. So leaning into your story can help you determine what distinguishes you.
So Amanda, tell us more about storytelling, because that's really, in our focus as, we're metrics driven. We're just, not enough of us talk about our story and how we can relate to people through storytelling. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, storytelling is how we've related to each other for millennia.
Yeah.
This is the bedrock of our relationships, is connecting through story. And I actually wrote an article years ago for The Muse, which is like a career website, where I researched like, why is storytelling so powerful? And I came upon this study that indicated, or one of the findings was that the brain chemistry of the storyteller and the listener actually start to mirror each other. So like the mirroring like synapses are firing when you're telling a story. So there is like physiological connection that ends up taking place. So that's just, you know, just for the brainy among us who are interested in that sort of thing. But the fact of the matter is, so often we need to contextualize what people who are putting themselves out there on behalf of their business, we need to contextualize what they're doing in a real life scenario. And a story helps you do that. So if you're able to say, like in my case, you know, you say, use my pitch powers for good. I can say that I spent 12 years in the PR agency world, where I was responsible for taking the jargony and, you know, inside baseball conversation that my clients were having and creating a story that was going to be palatable to the media. And I realized that that was what we as business owners, each and every one of us, have to do on behalf of our own business. We have to get out of the jargon. We have to position ourselves as the spokesperson for our business and create a story that's going to be useful to our audience out there in whatever way we're getting to that audience, whether it's through the media or in another format.
Some of us are trained in public speaking and doing presentations and mastering that PowerPoint, you know, and this is a totally different thing. I mean, this is very much, I mean, the stories can be incorporated in that, but there's a difference between, I guess, corporate speak and the storytelling that you're talking about. And this is what makes people so relatable, is the story that they tell about, you know, not only why you want to do business with me, but what kind of a person am I? You know, do you want to bring me home for dinner? You know, this is important so that people people can relate to you and trust you before you even start talking about what you do. You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It creates a personal connection. Even though you're talking about your business, it helps people size you up, and it also gives them a sense of your personality. And the thing that I work on a lot with clients is bringing their language down to earth. And that's what you're talking about, is the difference.
Oh, I love that.
Sort of being on stage and giving a presentation and relating to people in the real world, is that we need to bring our language that we use to talk about our business, we need to bring it down to earth. So the person at the very beginning of the journey that we're going to help them on recognizes that we're talking to them, because we can't talk to them from this end. Not that any of us are at the end of our journeys, but we can't talk to them at this, you know, where we are in the middle or at the advanced stage of our journey, because they aren't there yet. They're very much at the beginning.
That's so true. So let's go further into what the point you wanted to make. You said how to know where to begin your visibility strategy based on your big goal in your business. So talk about that. I mean, one quick second. Heidi, thank you for coming. You didn't get a notification. I don't provide notifications because these are lives, and you had trouble finding it. That's sad. Maybe others are having troubles too. Heidi, thanks for telling me that. I'll go do a little research about why this might be sad. Teresa, thank you for joining us. Jennifer, thank you for joining us. Any of you who are joining late or on the replay, drop your name in the comments so we know who are there, so Amanda and I know who we're talking to. Go ahead, Amanda. I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have to remember what the question was, but I think I got it.
Okay. How to begin your visibility strategy based on your big goal in your business.
Yes. So different visibility strategies lead to different results, which totally makes sense when you say it out loud. But a lot of times people will come to me saying, and because, like I said in the beginning, the media piece of what I do is so attractive to people and really the sexiest part of visibility, that a lot of people show up on my figurative doorstep saying, like, I need to be on podcasts. I think I just need to be doing more podcasts. And I want them to take a step back and look at, well, my first question is, why do you think you need to be on podcasts? Let's talk about what you want to accomplish at the end of this visibility effort and see if podcasts is actually the right tactic for you to pursue. So all of this is to say that there are different things that you can do to be more visible that lead to different results. And yes, podcasts are extremely powerful in creating a relationship with a potential client. It's also a tactic that takes a bit more time to generate results, though it does often generate new client relationships. The other types of media actually are not as effective in generating new client relationships. So if a client comes to me and says they want more clients, then we may pursue podcasts, but we'll probably also pursue collaborations, speaking, hosting events. These are all ways to be more visible. These are all PR tactics that can generate new client relationships in shorter order.
You know, this is interesting. I'm just starting out with a new flock of Solo to CEO members. And one of the conversations we had in our coaching session this week was about visibility tactics and putting together a visibility strategy. And it's so interesting how some people are comfortable with some things and completely uncomfortable with others. So there are those in the group who would be so happy to do public speaking, and others who just absolutely, would die if they have to go on stage. So everybody has to find their own tactics for visibility that move them, that they're going to be comfortable with and actually want to do.
That is exactly right. I totally agree with you. And that's something that I try to tune into, because you're absolutely right. It's, I think the most important, or one of the most important things that you said is that they're going to want to do the tactic, because otherwise it's going to be worthless. And we spend so much time trying to figure out or trying to implement things that we think we should be doing, that is wasted energy. And I always want to hone in with my clients on the combination of things that I suggest and things that they feel excited about, because they're not going to do the things that they don't feel excited about. And then it's not going to be worthwhile. And they're going to spend a lot of time in that guilt of like, I should be doing this.
So much space, right?
Yeah. But then the other thing about it, and this is, I think, kind of something that maybe not every, PR person would tune into, is that I want your enthusiastic energy to be infused into what you're putting out there into the world. And that's really important when you're a solo entrepreneur, because even if you're graduating to CEO, you are the face, you are the voice, you are the spirit of your business. And so you have to be all in with what you're putting out there. Otherwise, your audience is not going to connect with it.
Another thing that we talk about a lot is people hire you because you're you. And so to allow your personality to shine through, as opposed to trying to amend it, change it, finesse it, corporatize it. And I just, the more quirky and the more personality full that someone is, the more appealing they will be to the right people. Not everybody likes us. Not everybody likes me, and that's fine with me, because the people who do are the ones who are going to work with me and will work the best together. So but you can't be all things to all people. You just have to make sure that your personality, as you say, no matter what your tactic is coming through on how you're relating to your public. Julie, thanks for coming. You said you're going to be doing speaking and video as your public tactic, your publicity tactic. You guys who are online with me now, tell me what you think you'll be using for your own visibility tactics. We all have favorites, but I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking of doing and incorporating into your programs. And one of the things that I work on with my clients also is to say, do something consistently, so whether you're going to be speaking or doing a blog post or doing Facebook Lives, make sure that you're doing them either once a week or once a month, but be consistent on when you show up, because you start training people to look for you. And so tell us in the comments, you guys, what you're going to be doing And I'll circle back and get your answers later. So Amanda, you also talked about beginning with visibility strategy with things that you like to do and want to be doing. You also talked about the 3 pillars that will help you be more visible and what kind of connections they can make for you. What are those magic 3 pillars?
Yes. Okay. So this actually is a great segue from what we were talking about in terms of figuring out your goals. So the
Great.
3 pillars of visibility, I should actually amend that to name them the 3 concentric circles of visibility, but it's a bit of a weird reference, but it's the way that I envision these sort of pillars is in these concentric circles. And the innermost circle means that is the most intimate, then the fastest track to find results as far as increase revenue in your business. So the innermost circle is collaborations and alliances. And this is a visibility tactic because it allows you to align with, what we're doing right now is a collaboration where you have graciously invited me to come and offer something valuable to your audience while giving me the opportunity to connect with hopefully some new eyeballs and offer them, like I said, something valuable, something of service. With your endorsement. And that's really what's so powerful about a collaboration is that you are connecting with someone who has established trust with their audience. And therefore, when that person introduces you to their audience, that trust is transferred onto you, provided you show up and do what you promised.
Do a nice job, right.
Right. So the trust transfer is something that I talk about in every level of visibility. And it gets, kind of a little bit more loose as you move into those outer concentric circles, but it's still there. That's really what my type of visibility is based on, is creating relationships and trust with new audiences. And collaborations and alliances are the fastest way to create that trust factor and also to mimic that word of mouth and sensation that we
brilliant. Yeah. So Amanda, that's great because this is, again, I never would have put that kind of emphasis on the partnerships, the collaborations and that sort of thing. So thank you for telling us about that. Okay, so move outwards from the sweet spot. What else?
So collaborations and alliances in the middle is the centermost circle. The next circle is speaking and events. And so I heard some of your group are going to effort speaking in their visibility strategy. I think it's excellent. Again, this is either a stage that you have pitched yourself to be on, or with events, it's a stage that you create yourself. And in either of these scenarios, you become the center of a happening, which positions you as an authority. And it also, as far as a speaking opportunity is concerned, that trust transfer is in effect, because if it's a conference, then all those conference goers trust that their conference organizer is giving them content that's going to be useful and valuable. And therefore that trust is conferred upon you, provided you show up and do a great job. And also there's this added kind of trust benefit of simply being on a stage. There is like this perception on the part of the audience that you, again, have earned the opportunity to be there. And you're literally a level above.
Yeah, you are by definition one of the big guys because you are on stage. No matter where you come from, it's implied authority and celebrity because you are on that stage. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, and I will say something about perception in all of this, because PR is very much about the public's perception of you as well. And so having these credentials, having spoken, being featured in media, these play into the way that new clients perceive you, as well as how much they trust you.
Yep. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, moving outward then.
Yes.
What's the biggest?
The biggest circle is media. So like I said, a lot of people love the prospect of being featured in media, but we have to understand the implication or the result that will have in our business. And it's not always that you're going to have this influx of new clients and new revenue and all of that. It's possible, but it depends on what you're selling. A lot of us are selling a service that's perhaps a bit more of a high ticket operation. And the media is going to expose you to a wide range of consumers who may not be the right person for your service, but also may not be, it's not an intimate enough connection between you and the audience for them to be ready to put down that kind of money. It definitely can plant seeds that you then have to cultivate that could become high paying clients. But the media exposure is great for validating your business. So when someone hears about you on a podcast, which is media, that maybe wasn't the best example. I'll distinguish.
Or in Forbes or in one of the other major.
Well, someone may hear about you through like a collaboration like this, or they may hear about you because you spoke on a stage. They go to your website and they see that you've been featured in media, and it validates you in their mind. Like, oh yeah, my perception of this person as being the real deal was correct because they were featured in Forbes or on my local television station or whatever it may be. So media is great for validating. It's great for credibility. And it is great for introducing you to a wider audience. And if you're selling a low ticket item, like perhaps a book or something that may be applicable to a wide audience, then it could be great for sales. It depends, again, on what you're selling.
But to think of media placement as the holy grail is almost doing a disservice to yourself, because it's the lowest common denominator, because you're getting to a wide group of people, the majority of whom have no interest in you per se. So, or would not want to buy from you is what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. That is basically what I'm saying. And I will just add, the one exception to this is actually, there's always exceptions. I will say there's not a single exception, and this is very much an art and not a science, which is why people work with me, is because we need to piece together, like, what are the tactics? What are the stories? What are you going to do out there to elicit the results? What combination of this? What's your recipe for publicity? But I will say that as far as media is concerned, one exception to what I'm saying, as far as it not being a great funnel for near-term paying clients, is podcasts, because podcasts do create a more intimate connection between you and the audience. And it is almost like a speaking opportunity, because it gives you a longer form on which to communicate. And it also is hosted by someone who has spent a lot of time personally creating content for their audience. And there's a much greater degree of trust between that person and their audience than, say, a news anchor and their audience.
Right.
So you're given that benefit of the trust transfer in a way on podcasts, in a way that's really not really there in the rest of the media landscape.
You know, the other thing about podcasts that is such a sort of a hidden benefit is that the podcast is going to stay up for a long time. And if someone discovers that they love, your podcast, they're going to start binge listening. And so they're going to go through, the last whatever number, and you're going to be a part of that. So it's not like you're one and done. You have more ongoing visibility than you might have thought you would. So that's another benefit to that.
So true.
But this all goes back to trust, engagement, and intimacy, really, as being the superpowers for what are going to get you publicly relating to the public that you want to attract. Is really that hot sweet spot of intimacy, engagement. Maybe that's too not the right word, but just
I know
trust.
it's a strange word.
I know,
but it is true. Yes.
Let me lead through some of the comments. I don't want people to go on unanswered. Julie, your last Facebook Live, your first Facebook Live you just did was, you just had that. I'm sorry I missed it. I'll go back and listen. In your art studio, I typically show a finished piece. You were only on for 10 to 20 minutes. Today, I actually demoed. I share how I came up with my out-of-the-box piece. Good for you. This is your first live, I think. That's fantastic. Someone else says, You talk about the fact that this is a bullseye that Amanda is creating. Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
And then someone else who's Facebook user, I don't know who you are, says media validation is good for client retention and continued sales. Yes. So
Yep.
even if the media, the interview by an anchor or the interview on a TV or a radio station, even if that is not getting you clients, the fact that you can now use that logo on your website and all of your one-sheeters, that implies credibility. Not implies, it is credibility, right?
Absolutely.
So that's worth its weight in gold as well. So that's great. Amanda, tell us what you do for your clients. I know you do coaching. I know you have a wonderful Facebook group you guys call Pitch School. And again, I'll put all of Amanda's information in the description above the video once I file it. So tell us what you do for your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. So I work with mostly women entrepreneurs who are feeling like not enough people know about them, and they have their business and they've been doing their work. So they're clear on that. And they just feel like they're not able to burst out of that word of mouth bubble. And they're having that fist shaking moment. Like, why don't more people know about me? Fist shake at the heavens.
Yes.
Yeah, so I work with them to figure out what are the right visibility tactics that are going to get you in front of more of the right people. But also we look at all the foundational elements of your work as well. Like, is your messaging right? Are you using the right language to talk to the right kinds of people?
Yeah.
And are you even as so that's kind of macro, like, is your message on target? But then on the micro level, is the messaging around your offers on target? So there's different levels of messaging too that we dig into to make sure that your audience really knows and can pinpoint, like, oh yeah, that's for me.
She's the one I want to work with. You know, I had to learn that the hard way. I think the first time I ran a Facebook ads campaign, which was a million years ago, my copy for my ad wasn't as targeted as it should have been. So I was getting all kinds of people who were coming in as a lead who were so off target for me. And I'm like, what have I done?
Language matters.
The language matters. And you speak, you have to know who you're specifically talking to. You have to be able to talk to them in their language and be able for them to say, as you say, you are talking to me. So that's really the sweet spot. Yeah. Amanda, you have some goodies or a goodie that you want to offer my peeps. What do you want to throw our way?
Well, I have a whole page of goodies. So you can go to amandaberlin.com/resources. Two things, or maybe there's three things here that I would suggest looking at. There's a giveaway. This may actually be a segue from what we were just talking about. There's a giveaway called 7 New Ways to Answer the Question, What Do You Do?
Oh, I love it.
It's not even one that I told you about, Elise. I went rogue.
Great.
And it tells you how to really sort of get creative in answering that question that makes us all sweat at dinner parties. or really trips us up. And so I know that there can be that sensation of like, oh no, this person's eyes are glazing over. I have to start explaining or talking really fast so that they don't walk away. And there are some creative ways to talk about what you do that can, again, like even just reinvigorate that conversation for you and make you excited about answering that question.
Right.
So there's that. That's at amandaberlin.com/answertheq. And then I also have, right on my homepage, a template for writing an interview pitch. So you can download the kind of Swiss cheese template where you can plug your own information. And also coming with that is a checklist on how to give a successful interview.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. I will post all of those in the description. Amanda, you do coaching. You do one-on-one coaching. You group. What formats do you work in?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do work with the clients one-on-one. I also have a group called Pitch to Prominence, which will launch again in the coming year. That's a hybrid mastermind and one-on-one work with me. And with visibility, it's really a great component to have a mastermind element because you source the hive mind for opportunities and see what other people are doing to raise their own visibility. And then actually in September, I am hosting a It's a training, mastermind, and networking kind of hybrid element where we're going to talk about what it takes to make substantial relationships and create trust during a time when we really can't be meeting in person.
Yeah.
I was meant to have an in-person event in March.
I remember.
So I've been really tasked and challenged with figuring out, how do I replicate this visibility tactic that was so important in my business? How do I replicate that and continue to create relationships, given the fact that that was just kind of stolen away as an opportunity?
Yeah.
So I really dug in the last several months to figure out, how do I create relationships that are substantial on behalf of my own business. And so I'm kind of decoding that for everyone. And then following that, we're going to have a 6-month mastermind. And that's a pure mastermind, just a group that really does dig in to create new connections for each other, to create community,
Wow.
and to really take tactic by tactic a different theme each month for outreach and connection.
That's fantastic. You are a wealth of resources. Before we finish up, you guys, anybody have any questions that you can ask directly of Amanda? Put them in the comments. It takes a while for us to see your comments. So if we can't get them to them now, Amanda will circle back and be able to answer them online if she can't answer them now. Yeah. So you guys, if you have any comments or questions for Amanda, drop them in the comments and let us know what you have to say. Amanda, this is fantastic. I learned a ton. I mean, I didn't think about the power of collaboration. I'm so busy doing lead generation, with my Facebook ads and stuff. It just didn't even occur to me. And I know that I don't spend enough time reaching out to people one-on-one through whatever. And, whether it's on LinkedIn or texting people and saying, how are you? Did you know what I'm doing? Would you like to come for a custom contact with me?
Yeah, it's so powerful. It's so powerful. Yeah. And it's really powerful for people to hear about you through someone they trust.
Oh, that's so cool. Guys, I don't see any questions here. So I think I'm going to wrap it up. Amanda, you are a goddess for coming online. Thank you for—
It's my pleasure. I'm so glad that we got this.
Good. And again, I'll post everything that Amanda, all of her contact info and all the stuff she talked about as far as giving to us. I'll put those on, post those online as well. Amanda, you are in the group. So you will be able to just connect with anybody anytime you want to. A couple of questions here. What is the title of this? My heading says how to start being more visible, even if you don't think you are, if you're ready, even if you don't think you're ready. Okay, Teresa, I hope that answers your question. How to start being more visible, even if you don't think you're ready. Yeah. Julie, you say, I did PR for my business back in the day of press releases. Right. How do you get into interviews these days? Is there still a press release?
So, yeah, I love that press release. So it depends. It's all, so I sound like a lawyer. It depends. A press release can be good if you're launching something new. If you have press contacts already, I would always put something that is personal, that is a connection to whoever you're sending the press release to. You always want to put that first and then say that you've attached the press release for more information. As far as interviews, I at my theory or my protocol with gaining visibility and booking interviews is very relationship based. So it depends on, again, what medium you want to book an interview in. If it's a podcast, then start to create that relationship with the podcast host. If it's a more mass media interview, like on radio or on television, or even in a newspaper or magazine, then it's a little bit less essential that you create a relationship, because those reporters and producers are so busy. They're like, why are you trying to be my friend? So in that case, it is important to send them a pitch that outlines an idea that you would contribute in this interview. And we could definitely talk more about that, Julie.
Okay.
I love that you did PR for your business back in the day of press releases. So did
guys,
I.
I'm going to call it. We're 10 minutes over. I'm so glad that we are. We spent this time together. So Amanda, you are so generous. Thank you so much for
My
all of the
pleasure.
information. And you guys all have information about how to contact Amanda. As soon as we file the video, that'll all be up there. So thank you, my sweet, for joining us.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. So good to see you.
Good. And you guys, thanks. Have a great day. I'll see you in the group. Okay. Bye-bye for now.